Hey there. I thought I'd hop on live. It is Friday and it is after 5 o'clock and I'm still trying to get some stuff done today. I thought I'd work on these super scrappy log cabin blocks. I cut out all the pieces on the AccuQuilt and now I am sewing them together. I don't know exactly how big this quilt will be when I'm done. I just thought it would be a fun, super scrappy Christmas quilt. I haven't made myself a quilt in, gosh, I think the last quilt I made for myself was a Valentine's quilt, maybe like, it was probably at least 3 years ago. I still use it. It's on the couch. I love it. But I think the last time I made myself a Christmas quilt was over 10 years ago. And this one is just super fun and scrappy. I'll be doing a full video tutorial on it, but I wanted to get some of these blocks already put together for the video. And so I thought I would just kind of prep them and hop on live here. So hi everyone. Tell me where you're from. So if you're new to my channel, I'm in San Diego. I'm actually in my office right now. I used to work out of my home for years and years and years. And then about a year ago, I got some commercial office space so that I could have home be home and work be work. Although I end up just, work becomes kind of home. Yes, this is AccuQuilt's log cabin die that I used. It's the whole block. So a bob die means block on board, which means that you have the entire block on one big die board. So you pull out that die board and it has everything you need to make that block. And log cabin is one of them. There are a bunch. I have a handful of them. I don't even know quite how many or which ones. But yeah, I love the block on board dies because they're kind of no-brainers for putting quilt blocks together. I don't have to do any math at all. All the math will math on that block on board. So they're definitely like no math quilt blocks. Well, hi San Diego friends. I've been kind of all over San Diego today. I was up in Escondido dropping some stuff off up there for some work that I'm having done here for my shop. And then I went to Paradise Sewing. I had ordered a ruler base and ruler foot for the long arm because I want to do some ruler work on the long arm. And I needed a ruler base for that. So I got the ruler base and a ruler foot, and I'll have to figure out how to install those probably after we get through all the Christmas in July stuff. Christmas in July has kept me really busy. Hi, Susan. I used to live in Las Vegas. So I've been in San Diego 9 years. Before that, I lived in Las Vegas. Yes, it gets hot. When people say, how do you live in Las Vegas? I say, well, in the summer, you just don't go outside. Like, you stay inside, and then you get in your car where you turn on the air conditioning and stay inside, and you go to a place where you stay inside. I don't make quilts really for other people. I write quilt patterns, and I teach people how to quilt. So I have a bunch of YouTube videos where I teach people how to quilt. I have patterns. I've written several books on quilting techniques and bag making. So I am all about giving everyone else everything they need to learn to be able to make the quilt themselves. And I know that there are super talented makers out there who will do quilts on commission. It's just not something that I have time to do. Like, I would love to, but man, there's still only 24 hours in a day. Looks like Annette says I do. So Kara, maybe you can find a way to connect with Annette in the comments. Y'all can throw your email addresses in there or something and connect with one another. And then maybe you just found someone to help out. So I made a bunch of quilts for my kids when they were younger. The kids have not had new quilts in a while either. So that is my fault. Although they are very happy to steal mine on a regular basis. So I'm making this quilt, I think, for myself, but you never know. It might end up being a kid quilt. I have this big gray quilt that's made entirely out of cuddle fabric that my oldest son confiscates on the couch. That's his couch quilt now. So, but it is nice and tall, and he's tall, so it's a good couch quilt for him. And we have other couch quilts, so I'm okay. Four quilts, that's amazing. Although I guess, I mean, I've done a number of quilts this year. There's still one that I haven't shared, but I think I want to quilt it before I share it. Always more projects than time, you know? Always more projects than time. And I spent a lot of my week on the computer doing boring computer stuff, not on the sewing machine doing fun sewing stuff. So this is my treat at the end of the week. Oh, I'm running low on bobbin. And I don't have a bunch of wound bobbins, so we'll have to do that in a second here. We'll see if I can win bobbin chicken on this one block right here. Did I make it? Oh, I made it. Okay. Take these out of the way. If they invite you to their grad party, they get a quilt? Wow. That, yeah, I would have invited you to my grad party. Absolutely. That sounds incredible. Lucky students. All right, I'm going to get some bobbins started here. Hi, Mount Vernon, New York. Welcome, welcome. Just hanging out and doing some sewing and working on some super scrappy log cabin quilt blocks. And having a little beverage break. It is hot, and I think I was a little dehydrated yesterday, so I'm trying to amp up the liquids that I'm taking in. I would say water, but I'm not drinking water right now. I'm having a leftover soda for my lunch, but I'm still counting it as a liquid. Okay, let's get another bobbin going. I don't know about y'all, but I like doing a bunch of bobbins at once so they're ready to go, and I don't have to do this process every single time my bobbin runs out. All right, so if you're not familiar with this, this is called a Supreme slider, and it puts a grid right here on the sewing machine, and then it sticks on, so I can just peel this away. And look at that, totally won at bobbin chicken, just barely, but there we go. I can pop in my new bobbin. And then pop this back in place. And I'm going to just wind up several bobbins while I'm here so that I have them ready to go. Future me will be thankful and say, oh, look at all those fresh bobbins. Just for you, future you. I'm thinking of you. A lap quilt is lovely. Oh, hold on. The spool that I was bobbining from, these big cones, is out. So I guess I'm not going to be doing any more bobbins. Fair enough. Future me will just have to do with what I was able to do. Yeah, I'll play bobbin chicken. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. That's okay. We do what we can. I just lost at winding the bobbin chicken, so that's not quite a full bobbin. Oop, it's okay. You should do some more sewing. Bring the phone on over to the sewing machine and we can sew together. All right, so these are my little scrappy log cabin blocks that I'm working on. I was doing a takeover on the AccuQuilt Instagram today. I think I still want to do a couple more fun things over on the AccuQuilt Instagram, so we'll see. You know, for all the folks that are evening Instagramming. Oh, I unthreaded my needle. And I think that my machine needs to go in for service because I might have done something funky with the needle threader. So I'm just going to manually thread this so I don't mess with the needle threader. I think I had a really fine needle in there that wasn't compatible with my needle threader, and I messed up my needle threader. So I need to take it in for service, but also when you take your machine in for service, you don't have your machine for that bit. So I need to call my shop and say, hey, when's the best time for me to bring it in so that I get my baby back as quick as possible, right? So the special mat under my needle, it's called the Grid Glider. I don't know if you can rewind while I'm doing live, but if you rewind a little bit, you can see me actually pull it up to put the bobbin down, or to put in a new bobbin. So the Grid Glider is by So Steady. So Steady makes these acrylic tables, the extension tables, so that you have more space on your machine, on the bed of your machine. And then they make these grid gliders that just give you grid. I like them for different things. Like there's a ruler on here so I can measure things and see how, like if I'm cutting ribbon for doing the ties on bags, or if, I don't know if I need to just, like, it's great to have the little measurement on there. It's just, I don't have to pull out a ruler if I'm like, oh, is this the right size piece? Because there's two pieces that are about the same size. I can double check them here on the mat, but usually I'm just using it for this 1/4 inch line right here, which is handy. And I'm just working on these log cabin blocks. Just hang out for a little bit. Get these little log cabin blocks put together. I have one already done, and this is, I think, 7 more. So that'll give me 8, and it'll kind of give me an idea of what this quilt will look like when it's all put together. These fabrics, by the way, are all Art Gallery fabrics. They're last year's Christmas line. I still have some fat quarter bundles in the shop of this line. I do an advent calendar every year. I am working on the advent for this year. It's so good. I do something a little different every year. I'm really excited for this year's advent. I did diamonds last year. There are still some diamond advent calendars left if you missed it. And you're sad, you can go into the shop and you can still grab those. But once they're gone, they're gone. I won't be making more of last year's, the 2023. We're working on the 2024. And diamonds, I know we're a little bit in left field. We're going to go a bit more traditional this year. So if you are more of a traditional shape quilter, then you'll definitely be happy with this year. And then of course we're going to be using this year's Art Gallery fabric line, which is gorgeous. It's got like reds and oranges. And I know orange doesn't sound Christmas. It's great. Also Art Gallery has been doing their new 2.5 edition fabric. So we're going to be able to do binding with the matching 2.5 edition fabric. It's going to be so good. Alrighty. So what's everybody else working on? I want to hear everyone else's projects. Are y'all doing Christmas in July? All this month on YouTube, that's what I've been doing for my my long videos. We call that long form content. So this is a vertical video. The horizontal ones have all been Christmas in July projects. There's bonus projects for people who have the 2023 Advent, but I've also been doing other projects where you don't need to have that 2023 Advent. So a little bit of everything for everybody. There we go. I've done another round on these blocks. Oh, I'm happy. These are making me happy, girl. I just love Christmas. I love the spirit of Christmas. I love the season of Christmas. That it's just, I mean, I don't like being cold. I live in San Diego, so that works. So San Diego, not white Christmas. Perfect for me. I've had a white Christmas once. It was lovely. I don't need to have another white Christmas. I'm okay. But I mean, the air definitely gets a little cooler. Everybody gets all bundled up and warm. People are thinking of one another. Christmas cookies. I mean, gosh, you can't go wrong with Christmas cookies. So there's all kinds of like special treats that come out, and people are having parties and, dropping off treats to neighbors and sending out cards and connecting. Like my mailbox is full of things that are not bills. I send out tons of cards at Christmas time. Yeah, I love Christmas. We're going to Floral States of America. Ooh, I want to hear more about what a Floral States of America is. Is that like a map of the United States done with floral fabrics? Or is it a quilt block for each of the 50 states that is the flower of that state? Because that's pretty cool. I participated in a big, like we call them hops, where you hop from one website to another website to another website, and you get the free pattern every single week from a different site. And it was 50 states themed. And I picked California because I live in California. And so I did my 6-inch quilt block as the California Poppy. So that block is still free on my website, alwaysexpectmore.com. So if you want a 6-inch Poppy quilt block, you're welcome to go grab that. When I do free blocks, I don't usually keep them free for a limited amount of time. I like keeping them free forever. So when they're on there free, you can go find them and grab them. Oh, cotton. I love cotton cuts. So those of y'all who aren't familiar with cotton cuts, I've worked with them for a while. The only reason I'm not still working with them is just because I didn't have time to do all of my stuff plus the stuff that they had. And I felt bad that I was falling behind on the stuff that I was doing for them. It makes me not a good partner for them. So I said, I love you guys. I still want to work with you. I just can't keep, like, I'm failing. So I stepped back. But Cotton Cuts does pre-cut quilt kits. They do really fun mystery quilts where you get to see what the fabrics are. It's the same mystery quilt, and they usually have like a dozen different choices of fabric. So you can pick your fabric. You can also pick the size. There's usually a couple size choices, like a lap quilt versus a bed size quilt. And then every month you get your fabric and your clue to make part of the quilt. And it isn't so much block based. It's not like you're making a block every month, but you're making part of this mystery quilt every month. And you don't know what part you're making because they've broken it up into these really fun sections. So yeah, they do these really fun mystery quilts. And everything's pre-cut, but they also have other quilt kits that are pre-cut. So, yeah, ambassadors have to keep up with a lot. And I love the companies that I'm an ambassador for. I couldn't be ambassador for everything. There are more companies I love than I have time to be an ambassador for. So the companies that I'm currently an ambassador for are Art Gallery Fabrics. I am a celebrity for Art Gallery Fabrics. In fact, I have a box of fabric here that they sent me that I need to unbox. Maybe I'll do another vertical live this weekend when I'm, more presentable. I had a bunch of like boxes to lug around today, so I'm not feeling very camera ready. I need to wash my hair and maybe put myself together a little bit to be front facing on the camera, but I can be behind the camera today. But yeah, so Art Gallery Fabrics, love them. I've been working with them for years, and then they made me a socialite, and now they've made me their celebrity, and I just love them. They're phenomenal. So Art Gallery Fabrics, Baby Lock, that's the sewing machine that I've got right here that I'm using. Love working with Baby Lock brand. I have 5 of their machines. Some that have come from my partnership with them, but some that we bought because I just love their machines. So what I'm working on right now is the Baby Lock Ballad. That's this machine right here. It has a nice big throat space. This is the machine that's set up in my studio for me to sit down and sew at. If you watch my long form YouTube content, I'm usually sewing on my Baby Lock Jubilant. which I love using for videos because it looks like a more approachable machine because it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that a big machine like this does. And I don't want newer quilters to see my machine and think, oh my gosh, I need to have this big fancy machine with like all these, like all this machinery gadgetry over here. Like, you don't need a big fancy machine to make really gorgeous quilts. You don't. You can make really amazing stuff without a big fancy machine. So, yeah, I do most of my videos on the Jubilant just because I feel like it looks more approachable, not because I don't love this machine, because I do love this machine. And then what else? I have the Baby Lock Sashiko machine, which was a Christmas present from my hubby that it's only has a bobbin. It doesn't have a top thread, and it makes Sashiko looking stitches. So on the top, it looks, you see a true stitch space. And then on the bottom, it just looks like regular stitching. So I make projects that look like they've been hand quilted without actually spending the time of hand quilting. And you can adjust the length of the spaces and the length of the stitches independently. So you can have long stitches with short spaces, long stitches with long spaces, equidistant stitches and spaces. And then you can also use thicker threads and thinner threads to get like more robust or more like kind of petite stitches. And yeah, I love using that one. And then I also have the Baby Lock Gallant XL, which is the long arm, that I'm still figuring out how to use. I've done a handful of quilts on it now, but yeah, I need to keep playing with it and get really proficient on it. I love learning new things though. Maybe when I get this one all put together, I'll throw it on the Gallant, but there are a bunch of quilts waiting over there to be put on that machine. Yeah, brand loyal is awesome, but I'm also really, really particular about the brands that I partner with, because I want people to know that I'm not just partnering with the company that can write the biggest check, because that is definitely not the case. I've certainly been offered dollars or been offered to name my price by different companies that are great companies or maybe not great companies, but for whatever reason, for very specific reasons. Like, I pick the companies that I love, and then I'm fiercely loyal to them because they're good to work with. They have good people. Because, I mean, companies are like entities, but they're made up of like real people. And it's the real people that matter to me. Let's see, these got put in the wrong spot. Okay. Do I want to do that one next? I feel like I want something. I want this one. Your dream serger is the Baby Lock Triumph. Okay, so of the Baby Lock line of machines, I don't currently have a serger, and I don't currently have a embroidery machine. Now, I've been eyeing sergers, but I just don't do enough garment sewing really to make it worth it, I think. And I don't know where I would set it up. Like, I wouldn't really have the space for it, so it would spend most of its life on a shelf, which, I don't know, feels a little sad. And then, I mean, embroidery doesn't scare me in the sense that, like, I'm afraid of doing the embroidery. I just feel like it would be a whole nother hobby. Then I don't have time for yet another hobby. I don't have time for the hobbies that I want to have time for. So to add another one feels more reckless than I think I'm ready for. So Kathy, how wide are my strips? These are on the AccuQuilt machine. So here I can use the grid glider to measure it. They're 1.5 inches wide. So they'll be 1 inch finished in the quilt, which makes them pretty scrappy looking, which I love. I want this to be really, like, traditionally when we think about log cabin blocks, we think about them having a dark on one side and a light on the other, which is fine. But, or the other is doing like a courthouse steps version of a log cabin block where it goes out from the center. But I just want this one to be crazy, wild, and free. Let's see, let's press some of these. They're a little not flat. So yeah, maybe one day I'll do embroidery, because like I've designed SVG files, so I think it would be fun to design embroidery files as well and have like my own embroidery stuff. But also, gosh, y'all, that's like a whole nother, it's like a whole nother business. And I can't keep up with my emails as it is. Adding to it is going to be too much. So before I hopped here on live, I was actually listening to an audiobook. Having an audiobook or some kind of like Netflix show on while I sew is kind of my go-to, but I thought, well, how about we chat with some quilters? That's fun too. And then I'll go back to my audiobook. My friends recommended the first book in the, well, I guess they recommended the whole series, but I just started the first book in the Housekeeper series. I don't know. Let me know if y'all read it, but no spoilers because I'm not done with it yet. And like, yeah, some weird stuff just got very twisty. So my brain's still trying to make sense of what just happened. I think it's like about 3 hours left in the book, so maybe I'll finish it tonight. But yeah, it's, I've been listening to a lot of like fantasy books lately. So this one's definitely not fantasy. I'd put it more in like kind of mystery / thriller-ish. Yeah, not quite sure where I'm at. Like, it's taking me on some twists and turns. So what do y'all like to do generally when you are sewing? Is that you're hopping on lives like this? Or just watching videos? Are you audiobook, Netflix? By the way, I firmly believe that audiobooks count as reading because your brain still has to make the pictures of what's going on. So I know some people say it's not reading unless you're actually reading the words, and I disagree. So much so that, so every month I do a free quilt block on my site, alwaysexpectmore.com. I actually put together, or I've opened up a group of quilt pattern designers that each offer up a free block every single month. Not everyone participates every month, that's fine. But every month there's a whole bunch of designers that have a free 12-inch finished quilt block that is using a specific theme. And this last month's theme was books. And what I like to do is design my block very close to the end, like the deadline. And I like to see what all the other designers have picked as their theme, and then do something completely different, or at least not the same. Like every now and then it ends up the same because I'm not able to do them at the last minute. I have to plan a little further ahead. But if I can do a fun last minute one, then it's fun, which I was able to do this time. The theme was books, and there were so many great book themed stuff, like fantasy books and books on a stack and books on a bookshelf and an open book and a book with a heart. There were lots of great book themed blocks. And so I chose to do an audiobook, which was basically a cell phone with the audiobook playing, which could also then be a block for podcasts or music or albums. So lots of ways that you could use that block in different ways. But I think that audiobooks are books. What about you? Let's see. Hop on lives, listen to music, or listen to books. Yep, listening to books. Binge watch a series in Netflix. Yeah, sometimes though, if I haven't seen the series before, some of them, like I have to stop and watch what's happening because like there's some that I've seen enough times that I can basically listen to it like an audiobook because I can see the scene in my head. Like Gilmore Girls I can put on like that. But I just watched, it's on Hulu and I think on Paramount, but don't quote me, Elsbeth, which is based on the character Elsbeth Tassioni from The Good Wife. And I watched The Good Wife, and I love Elsbeth Tassioni as a character. So I just finished the first season of that, and that was pretty cute because she's like clueless and not all there, but totally all there. So she's fun. Murder mystery shows, like 48 Hours. I can't watch them before bed, though. They freak me out, and then I have bad dreams. Like, I'm not a child, but, oh man, I can't handle the bad dreams. Like, it's not fun. It's no good. Yes, Elsbeth she's so cool. I like, whoever created her as a character, I love their brain, because she's such a fun character. And I wonder, like, is she a character that they created, like, with, like, did they know someone like her, and so they designed her around, like, a person that they knew? I don't know. I love her. Like, I want to be friends with Elsbeth. That sounds like fun. It's okay. Autocorrect is a stinker, but I speak pretty fluent autocorrect. Sometimes I don't speak quite fluent typo, but I can speak some pretty fluent autocorrect. Where do you find Hallmark movies now? Because when I was in college, I used to love watching Hallmark movies on the weekends. But now we don't have, like, regular TV anymore. So I don't even know, like, are they on... I think Netflix starts bringing them on at a certain point. All of the, like, Christmas, you know, big city girl goes back to the small town where she grew up and falls in love with a Christmas tree farmer and ends up leaving the big city and her big city fiance. DirecTV. Yeah, we don't have regular cable anymore. It's okay. Great American Family. Okay. I'm loving the ideas. So here's my blocks. Getting all pressed. I have a big iron station set up here in the office, but for projects like this where it's like so press, I like setting up a little pressing mat right next to the sewing machine. So that way I don't have to get up every time. It's a little lazy, for sure, but there we go. Thank you. Yeah, they're just super scrappy. I have one on the design wall already. So once I finish these, I'll throw them up on the design wall with y'all, and you can kind of get an idea of what the quilt is going to look like when it's put together. I'll also get my first real peek at what the quilt is going to look like all put together. But I have one block up on the design wall. If you want to see that one already, you can hop off the live for a second and head over to my Instagram, which is Craftmore. And I co-posted that today with AccuQuilt. So it's the most recent reel there on my Instagram. You can go check that one out. You can see the putting together of it and all my clippity of editing that video. All right. Oh, wait. Let's see. But I'm mostly just picking whatever fabric is on top of my little pile here and doing it next. I'm just making sure that it's not one of these three. And as long as it's not, oh wait, these are too short too. I didn't grab the right stack. Let's see, fabric 1, fabric 2, fabric 3, fabric 4. Oh, this is fabric 6. I need fabric 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, yep. 6. This is fabric 7. Somebody's got a little wrinkly. I need to get a little, just a little bit. Those ones are good. Not lazy. Okay, but when I have a pressing station next to me like this, I can, if I have a bottle of water and some snacks, I could really just sit here for like 6 hours and just sew and sew and sew and not get up. As long as I don't have to go to the bathroom, you know, I've got my water, I've got my snacks, and I just sit here and sew and sew and sew and sew and sew. And I don't stretch my legs, so that's not great. Gotta get up every now and then, move the body, right? I don't have my like smartwatch on right now, but like what, every hour you're supposed to get up and, you know, just move around a little bit. And so having the pressing station not right here is good. Last October, I had a very unfortunate incident with a slide at a children's museum while wearing a taco costume, which sounds hilarious because it is, but also it ended up with me messing up my tailbone really good. And probably means really bad. So also sitting for long periods is not great for my tailbone, and I need to really get up and stretch it every, you know, hour or so that I don't end up in agony. And yes, that was months and months ago. Was that like 10 months ago? And it's still not fun. Like it's doing better most of the time as long as I make good choices. When I start making bad choices, it reminds me that I'm making bad choices. Yeah, I remember when I did it, I shared it on Instagram, so you can find it in my story highlights on the Instagram. And people were telling me that it could take months and months or even years to heal. And I did not like that. And I still don't like that, but it turns out that it might be true for me. Yep. After day 5, I was like in so much pain. I was in tears, and I went to urgent care and I said, listen, like Dr. Googled it, and Dr. Google said, basically, if you broke your tailbone, you're looking at 6 weeks of healing. And if you bruised your tailbone, you're looking at least 6 months of healing. So I went and they took an x-ray, and it's one of the few times that I really wanted it to be broken because the treatment is basically the same. It's just painkillers and taking it easy. But the healing time is shorter on a broken tailbone. Unless you break it in a way where you've got like a piece that's like floating, and then they go in and do surgery and remove it, which I didn't want that. I just wanted like a fracture, not a, what is that, displaced fracture? I'm not the doctor in the family, so don't ask me about the medical terms. All right, I think, let's see. I think I have 2 of these to put on, and then 2 of the next size, and then 1 of the last size, and then these blocks are done. So technically these go up to 12 pieces, but I'm only going up to 9 pieces. So I think it's like you can do 5 rows out from the center, and I'm only doing 4 right now. I might add a 5th. We'll see. I just shouldn't cut the pieces for the 5th because of how my fabric was fitting on the AccuQuilt die. And then if y'all don't know the trick for knowing on your blocks where to place your next strip, it's where you have 2 seams. So there's 1 seam here, there's 1 seam on this side, there, let's see, 1 seam on this side, 1 seam on this side. There's actually no seams on this side, but on this side there's 2 seams. So wherever the 2 seams are, that's where your next unit goes. And that's the trick to not get mixed up when you're doing log cabin blocks like this. The first round you have to watch a little bit because you don't have 2 seams on the first round yet. But after that, it gets really easy. As long as you know that trick. But without that trick, I've seen people get really mixed up and put their units on the wrong side. It's like, nope. Nope, you look for the 2 seams and that's where you go. Let's see, can't do that one. I can do this one. Let's do this one. And this is 7 blocks because I already did 1. And I thought if I add 7 more, that'll give me 8 blocks. And I can really start to see it come together. I guess I could have done 8 and then I would have had like a 9 patch of blocks. I could have really seen what it looks like as it's coming together, but that's okay. I will not be ending at 8 blocks. I think it'll probably be... That's a good question. I don't know exactly how many blocks I'm going to end up at. Like when it feels like it's about that size. Like I want to make kind of like a generous lap size quilt for me with a Christmas theme. And maybe if I work on it a little bit every weekend, I will have a Christmas quilt for me this Christmas season. So we were talking earlier about how much I love Christmas. I have Christmas china. My husband's auntie has Christmas china, and we visited her the year before we got married at Christmas time, and I saw her Christmas china, and I just thought that that was so fun to have a special set of china that just comes out at Christmas time. I thought it was just, I don't know, so festive and seasonal. It makes the season like a little more special because you have, you know, special plates. And so shortly after we got married, my husband's family likes people to put together like Christmas wish lists. And I put Christmas china on my Christmas wish list because also like I don't need a bunch of stuff, but also, you know, like what's something that I would love that I would never buy for myself? And Christmas china definitely feels like a splurge. And I thought, you know, over the years, I might get, you know, a couple plates here, a couple bowls there, a couple mugs here, until eventually over the course of years, I would end up with a whole set of Christmas china. But my entire in-laws all got together and they all chipped in. And in the very first year, they got me a full set of really fun, beautiful Christmas china. So I get to take that out every year and I love it. Love it. Yeah, I didn't even know that that was a thing that you could do Christmas china. I had never seen it before. And then my pattern is different than hers, and that's okay. I mean, her pattern's gorgeous as well. But, and I love her pattern. And I thought, no, I'll do like my own pattern. And I found one that I really loved. And this one was also important. They are dishwasher safe, which maybe doesn't sound like a huge thing. I don't love doing dishes by hand. And my husband and I, we got formal wedding china, because apparently that's what you were supposed to do. And so we did. But the formal wedding china has a metal strip on the edge, so it can't be microwaved, and it cannot, it has to be hand washed. It can't go through the dishwasher or it'll tarnish and get all messed up. The dishwasher pods and whatnot do not react well with the metal. So all of our formal china has to be hand washed. So we usually bring that out like on our anniversary, and then sometimes we'll bring it out for like a special occasion, but it means that I can enjoy fancy china all Christmas long without having to do all the dishes by hand, which is good. All right. I think I have, after this, 3 more strips to put on each of these. It's fun how like they get bigger and bigger, faster and faster as you go around. I mean, each seam is a little longer, but let's see. I already did that one. Maybe it's time to do it lighter. There we go. So for those of you who are popping in, be sure to go down in the comments and let me know where you are popping in from. I'm in San Diego, and I am working on this Scrappy quilt. This is a log cabin block that I cut out using the AccuQuilt log cabin block on board die. And I'm just adding the strips around and around and around. The fabrics are Art Gallery fabrics. They're last year's Christmas fabrics, which were designed by Katerina Rochella, who's one of my favorite AccuQuilt fabric designers, and Art Gallery fabrics fabric designers. There we go. And they Art Gallery fabrics are also just like, they're super soft. They feel so nice to work with. I love Art Gallery. They actually have a higher thread count than traditional quilting cottons, which allows them to be this super thin. It's a thin, fine weave, and their tagline is "Feel the difference," because they do feel different. They feel really lovely to work with. Oh yes, hit thumbs up. So, okay, I'm a terrible YouTuber, y'all. I mean, I think I make pretty good YouTube videos, but in terms of like being like a professional YouTuber, I'm not not it. So I'm thinking I'm supposed to say, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe. I do have a crazy goal of trying to hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube this year. And I'm actually doing pretty good. I've got 65,000 subscribers. So with a little momentum and a little support, I think I can get to 100,000 by the end of the year. And that's definitely the goal. So we'll see. So you can also share any of my videos. I mean, I don't know if this is the most shareable video, probably not. But I definitely have a bunch of videos on techniques and tips. So some of the more popular videos are on squaring up quilt blocks. On free motion quilting, on doing binding on quilts. So I have all kinds of really technique specific. The Dresden plate tutorial that I did a couple of years ago now, but it's recently been getting a lot of comments and a lot of action on that one. So I have a lot of like technique or block specific, project specific videos that can be really shareable. So feel free to share my videos with friends and ask them or encourage them to subscribe as well, because that helps me grow on YouTube and also get recognized by YouTube, so that they do all the things that help promote the channel as well. So YouTube has, like all social media platforms, like a really complex, fancy algorithm. And so the more that people interact by leaving comments or liking, subscribing, sharing is a big driver in any algorithm on any social media platform. So if you have creators that you love, and that doesn't need to be me, but any creators that you really love, if you share their videos or their content, whatever kind of content, even if it's not video, it really, really helps spike their content. So feel free to use all of those. I think shares is probably the one that's really spiking content the most right now. And then comments would be second, and subscribe, of course. I mean, that's it, but you can only subscribe once. So where did I say that I got that fabric? So this fabric is Art Gallery fabric. So I should show where we're at with these blocks. This is Art Gallery fabrics, and this is last year's Christmas line. I still have fat quarter bundles in my shop, carolinamorepatterns.com. So if you wanted to grab a fat quarter bundle or 6, I have a little over a dozen, I think, left in my shop. Maybe 2 dozen, somewhere in there. So I don't have a ton left, and when they're gone because we cut up all the bolts. So once those are gone, they're gone. And these bits are actually the end of bolts. So, and the scrappy bits. So last year and also this year, I've been working on Christmas in July projects. And these are all the leftover bits. My husband cut most of the fat quarter and half yard bundles last year. And when he did that, when you get to the end of a bolt, there might not be like a full quarter yard. It might be like a third of a yard. And so that got set aside. And we cut so many fat quarters. And each bolt has somewhere between 10 and 15 yards. So you end up with this like funky bit at the end. And so those all just got set aside. And I knew that I wanted to do this project, but that was, we started that back in like November, because we're selling them in like October, November is when we were cutting those, and folding those, and they got set aside. But now it's Christmas in July, which is like a low stress Christmas, because you don't have like Christmas breathing down your neck, and also the days are longer, so you can just sit and sew like all day and not feel like the night is creeping in on you. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll get started on this project that I've been wanting to do all year, and now I finally get to. Yeah, yes, it's all Art Gallery Fabrics. I'm an Art Gallery Fabrics celebrity. Gosh, we were talking about brand ambassadorship. So I have 3. I got through Baby Lock and Art Gallery Fabrics, and then also AccuQuilt. So I'm a AccuQuilt pattern designer, but also I'm a die designer for AccuQuilt. So I have designed, it's called the box bag template, or sorry, the box bag die. It's based on my box bag template, my acrylic template, to make bag making easier for folks with an AccuQuilt. So yeah. What is that green thing you're sewing on? I get that question all the time, and I love answering it. So this is called the Grid Glider by Sew Steady. And it is like kind of staticky, sticky onto the Sew Steady table that I have here. And it just makes the fabric run smoother. You know how there's this bump right here where the table and the machine come together, and sometimes that'll make these seams, your seam allowance, like flip over. I don't have that problem with the Grid Glider because it stays smooth. Also, it helps me line up my 1/4 inch seam allowance the whole way down. And I can use it to measure. So someone earlier was asking like, what size are my strips? So I was able to put it on here and say, oh, my strips are 1.5 inches. I cut them on the AccuQuilt, so I knew the AccuQuilt was going to cut them fine. I didn't worry about what size they were, but they are 1.5 inches wide, which means they'll finish at 1 inch in the quilt. All right. Hi from Rochester, New York. I'm trying to go back through comments and see if I missed any. Okay, I don't think I missed any. Trying to keep an eye on sewing and trying to keep an eye on the comments at the same time. It's just me, y'all. It's just me here. Trying to do all the things. All right, after this one, I think I've got 2 more strips on these blocks, and then we can put them up on the design wall and see how they look. Alrighty. There we go. Oh, look, this one's accidentally a little bit like darks and lights, so I want to put like another dark here. This one will work. Trying to get them to look pretty scrappy, intentionally scrappy. All right, let's keep going. All right, friends, do you have plans for this weekend? What are we doing this weekend? Are we sewing? What projects are we sewing on? Is it Christmas in July projects? Is it other projects? Is it block of the month projects? What are we working on sewing? What are we having a good time with? I have a couple more videos to finish up for my Christmas in July series, so I can get those up for the rest of this month. So I think I'm going to be doing that. I'm also going to a board party this weekend, which is not like B-O-R-E-D board, but B-O-A-R-D board. And when I first heard board party, I thought it was board games, because my family, we love board games. We're specifically big fans of Settlers of Catan. But we love board games, we love card games. But then it turns out it's a charcuterie board party where everybody brings some kind of board. So, I don't know what kinds of boards people are bringing, but they could bring like a meat board where it's all different kinds of meats, or they could bring, someone was saying that I don't know if someone at this party is going to bring one, but it was like a Taco Bell board where it was, like a cutting board that has all different kinds of Taco Bell options on it. You could do like a veggie board, or a dessert board, or a drinks board that is all different kinds of drinks. So there are all kinds of, and I was so stumped for the longest time on what kind of board I was going to bring to this board party, because, I'm supposed to be creative. And sometimes that's like high pressure, because people are like, oh, you're so creative. Come up with something creative. And it feels a little bit like, dance, monkey, dance. You know how to do this. And my brain's like, I don't. My brain is overwhelmed already doing all the things. Can I just like bring cups and ice? Which, it's a Friends reference. Phoebe was relegated to just doing cups and ice, and so she turned cups and ice into the whole party. She got like every kind of ice there was: crushed, cubed, dry ice, shaved ice for like snow cones. Like, she did all different kinds of ice, and then everything was cups. She had garlands of cups, and people had hats made out of cups, and colored cups. Like, she did, so she went like whole ham on cups and ice. But I don't need to go whole ham on things. Just put me in charge of cups and ice. And I'll just bring cups and ice. But no, I think I finally came up with an idea for my board. I'll have to share it here on YouTube in the community tab, and when I get the board all put together. But I also I think I know all the little things that are going to go on the board. I had to get some special bowls, so more china for me. But I wanted like the board itself to go with the theme, so I think I got it. I need to go pick up a couple more things. Let's see. You're going boating and fishing. That sounds like fun. We went boating last month. We took the boat up to Parker and went boating on the river, we hadn't done that before. So Parker is on the Colorado River. It's on the California-Arizona border. Kind of like if you've heard of Lake Havasu, it's the same area. So that was really fun. And I don't think we've taken the boat out since. So we'll have to find some time to take the boat out as well. Working on a 30 by 30 batik creation for Beauty and the Batik competition. Oh, that sounds fun. I used to love entering competitions, and I haven't had the time anymore because, when you start a quilty business, it can take over your life, and that's okay. It's a good thing. I'm not mad at it, but I don't have as much time for all the things. Before I became an Art Gallery Fabrics ambassador, like socialite and celebrity, I used to enter the Hoffman Challenge, and I had a couple quilts that they didn't win, but they made it into the traveling exhibit for Hoffman. So that was fun. But tell me more about the Beauty and the Batik competition. That sounds really fun. Is it like, not nursery rhyme, what am I thinking? Like fairy tale themed? Like a Beauty and the Beast kind of theme? Or like, is it like an ugly fabric challenge where you were given like an ugly batik to turn into something beautiful? Yep. So, we were talking about my baby lock machines, and I have one. It's a baby lock Zest, so it's the least expensive baby lock machine on the market. and I covered it in rhinestones. I have a whole video on it. If you search blinged out baby lock on YouTube, it'll come up. So I covered my baby lock in rhinestones, and I named her Vacation, because who doesn't love to sew while on vacation? So I like to sew on vacation, even when I'm, not on vacation. So her name is Vacation. This machine is Sunday, and my baby lock Jubilant is Saturday, so I can say that I quilt on Saturday and Sunday. So even though it is Friday, I'm quilting on Sunday. The baby lock Sashiko machine is called Days That End in Y, because I'll always quilt on days that end in Y. And then I haven't shared yet the name of the long arm, because she's new. I just got her in February, and I haven't had time for like a true naming ceremony. But since y'all are hanging out here, I will tell you the name for the baby lock long arm, because I was pretty proud of it. So the name of the baby lock long arm is Credit Card, because it's actually an homage to Eleanor Burns, who says, "I quilt by credit card." So I'm naming her Credit Card, because it's the concept of, you send your quilt to a long armer instead of quilting yourself, and there's no shame in that at all. So quilting by credit card. But I'm actually naming my machine Credit Card, so I can still say I quilt by credit card. Yep. Let's see. Do you sew on the inside or the outside of the pinking for pre-cuts? Measure your pre-cuts. There's a bunch of different companies that make pre-cuts, and there's actually a bunch of different companies that cut pre-cuts. So just to know, put your pre-cuts on, like put a ruler over them, put them on top of your mat, get an idea of what your pre-cut, where the mark, like where the edge is on your pre-cut. So it might be right in the middle of that pinked line. It might be on the outside. It might be on the inside. So yeah, check your pre-cuts, and just check them every time with every new pack of pre-cuts. So you don't have to worry about brand or whatever, and know where they are. So that would be my advice with pre-cuts. And your pre-cuts will be generally 2.5 inch squares, 5 inch squares, and 10 inch squares, or also 2.5 inch strips. Those are the most common pre-cuts. However, you can also cut your own pre-cuts on an AccuQuilt machine, and then you'll know that the edge is the edge, because the AccuQuilt doesn't cut with pinked edges. The AccuQuilt cuts with straight edges, so that's nice. It says, no, you have to buy the 6 fat quarters they pick. You must use 4. Oh, okay. This is on Beauty and the Batik. All right. You have to buy the 6 fat quarters that they pick. You must use at least 4 of them, and can add other batiks as long as it ends up at 30 by 30. I'm assuming 30 by 30 inches, because, not centimeters. Hey, So Francie. You're so sweet. Welcome, welcome. We've just been hanging out sewing. I thought I would finish these blocks on a little live. I thought it would take me like 20 minutes. And it's been an hour. Oh, isn't that how it always is, though? It's like, oh, I'll just whip these out in 20 minutes. And then 3 hours later, you're like, there we go. That was a good 20 minutes of sewing. Oh, my goodness. All right, I just have one more strip to sew on these, I think. 4, 4, 3. Hold on. Yeah, 4. Okay, so I just have one more strip to sew on these, and then these blocks are done. So, oh my goodness, an hour to finish 7 blocks. But I've also been chatting and reading comments. So, I haven't been like nose to the grindstone, and I'm okay with that. But it's also good for me to know. All right, Caroline, if you want to do another group of blocks, it's going to take you an hour. Commit to an hour. All right. And I still have one more quick little project that I want to do tonight before I go home. But then I think I'm going to crash. What time is it here in California? Oh, 7:30 already. Whew, it's getting late. All right. Yeah, you made it to the end. I mean, I think we've got, based on this taking an hour, you've got at least another 10 minutes. Would be my guess. We'll probably wrap up in about 10 minutes. But Clearly, I'm time blind, so don't trust me. It who knows how long it'll be. Oh, I'm a nut. Okay. Let's see, do I have any other strips this size still? I think those are longer. Okay. Those ones are, yep. Trying to pull my strips together and see where I'm at. These are all the right size. I think so. Okay. Last strip. And these are log cabin blocks. I cut them all on the AccuQuilt. I'm doing all but the last round. So I think they're supposed to have 5 rounds, but mine are only having 4 right now. I don't know if I'll end up adding that last round. I think it looks less scrappy when, like, the more long strips you have on there, the less scrappy it looks, and the more, like, you have smaller blocks, the more scrappy it'll look. And since I want a little more scrappy, a little more chaotic, I think I'm only doing 4 rounds on these. But we'll see. I might end up adding another round. The Padres are playing. Go San Diego. Yeah. I just got a phone notification that I only have 15% battery on my phone. So yes, this will definitely be the last set. So I have to sew 6 more seams, press 6 seams, and then we'll bring it over to the design wall. It'll be the hidden design wall. It's the one y'all never see. And we'll add it to the one block that's on there. And, oh, this one's not that size. It's too small. This one. Also not that size. Some of my strips got a little mixed up when I took them off. These all, those are all too small. All right. I don't know if I have enough of these strips. Let's find out. All right, it has to be this one. Yep, okay. Hello, Michelle. Welcome, welcome. We're just going to finish up. I forgot, lost count, I don't know, 4 or 5 more seams. And then that'll finish off these blocks. I've been sewing these 7 log cabin blocks to add to the one that I already did, my sample, my test block. And then that'll be kind of like an idea of what this quilt's going to look like. It's a scrappy log cabin cut on the AccuQuilt using end of bolt fabrics from last year's Christmas line by Art Gallery Fabrics. All right. Let's keep going. Almost there. Looks like maybe 3 more. Well, welcome. Oh, I'm supposed to be a good YouTuber and say make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. You've already commented, so you're a third of the way there. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe, friends. The goal this year is to hit 100,000 subscribers. And I know that sounds like that's silly, and it is, like 100%. If you say that sounds silly, it definitely is. So feel free to judge me for the silliness there, but when you hit 100,000 subscribers, YouTube sends you a plaque. And also, that's super silly. But I'm my own boss. I work for myself. And so there's no boss who comes around and like gives me a pat on the head and says, "Good job, Caroline. You're doing great. I appreciate your work ethic. I appreciate how hard you work. I love that you show up." Like, I mean, some of y'all are great commenters on my different stuff, and you definitely give me those boosts. But like, there's no employee of the month plaque, right? I mean, I used to like win trophies at work and stuff, and there's no trophies because I'm not buying myself a trophy. That's an extra dose of silly, and I'm pretty silly, but that's like that. No, probably not going to do that. Anyway, so yeah, I would love for YouTube to send me a plaque that says, "Good job, you made it to 100,000 subscribers." And that's a big deal. There aren't that many sewing YouTubers who've made it to 100,000. There are several. And there's definitely like the big ones, like Missouri Star has, and Fat Quarter Shop has, and there's a couple other really amazing YouTubers, incredible YouTubers who have made it 200,000 in the sewing niche, but there's not a ton. And so it would also like be really special to kind of achieve that entrance into the special fraternity of quilters who've made it to 100K. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for your subscribing. I think at the end of this, it also tells me how many new subscribers I got based on going live. So we'll see. All right. Here we go. Now at this last strip, I ran out of the right size strips. So I grabbed one of the longer strips that I'm probably not going to use, and I'm sewing it on, and then I'll just trim it down. Because otherwise I'll have to go to the AccuQuilt and cut another piece. And it's the very last one. It's like playing bobbin chicken. I'm playing strip chicken. There we go. See, I just cut it off. And now look, it fits. It's fine. Well, I have tons of videos on all kinds of quilty things. So you are welcome to browse the channel and see what all is there on like squaring up and different blocks. And right now we're doing Christmas in July, which is super fun. I've been wanting to do a Christmas in July series, and I wasn't traveling this July, and so I thought that would be perfect. I was going to be traveling in August, but then of course my August trip has actually been moved up, so it will be happening in July, but that's okay. I'll get everything all scheduled out, and we'll be good to go through July. Just need to finish recording the last couple of videos this weekend so that we've got everything for y'all. You won't miss me at all while I'm traveling. Oh, Annette, you are so sweet. Thank you. I try. Like, I won't ever stop trying. And sometimes I'll do good, and sometimes maybe needs some improvement. And that's okay, because I can improve most of the time. I don't know. I'll just show up and keep doing my best. How's that? All right, I'm just pressing these last couple blocks, and then you guys are going to get a behind-the-scenes tour of my little messy corner over here. So normally when I do YouTube videos, the long form content, so the YouTube videos where like you see my face and all of that are done over in one specific corner here of the studio. But I'm not over there right now. I'm at the big machine sitting down. And to get to the design wall on the side, you're going to see some of my mess. So trust me, it's not all organization, sunshines, and rainbows over here. There is a little bit of chaos. Okay, I'm going to turn off my iron because I'm going to be done here. And I don't want to accidentally leave it on. So turn off that iron. Here are all my finished blocks. Yes, congratulations to all those YouTubers. It takes a ton of work, and a lot of them have a team that are helping them. And I'm doing it all by myself. So I'm not like embarrassed or ashamed, or like, I think that for doing it by myself, I've been doing a pretty good job. So I'm pretty good. Anyway, so here's the blocks. We're gonna throw them up on the design wall with the one that's already done. And I'm glad you can learn a lot from watching. All right, so here's my mess. Ready? Here you go. That is the batting tower. Let's see, that's batting. That is supposed to be dark fabrics. That, I don't even know what's supposed to be in that bin. There's a pile of stuff on top of there. There's more AccuQuilt dies. These are supposed to be my scrap bins. It's supposed to be cool fabrics in the top bin and warm fabrics in the bottom bin. And then here's where I've been pulling my pieces from for the AccuQuilt, these log cabin blocks. So now we're going to go over here to this corner. This is the block that's already done. I think I have a clamp here that I can put the phone in so I can have two hands while I work on this. All right. Come here. There we go. All right. Phone clamped in. Let's add some blocks on here. Let's pull this back a little more. Sorry, trying not to make you dizzy. Come here. There we go. All right. Stop shaking. Really, I should have done 9 blocks. I did 8. There'll be a hole. It'll be fine. So these are just Scrappy log cabin. I could have done them courthouse steps. I don't know if that would have made them look a little more organized. Probably would have been a little easier to put them together as courthouse step blocks. These are the same two fabrics. Oh, right there and right there. I mean, not that it'll end up necessarily in this order, but I tried to have none of the same fabrics touching when I was making the blocks. But if some of the fabrics touch when the whole quilt comes together, I'm not going to stress about it. All right, I'm gonna take a step back. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. I have something for beginners to advance intentionally or not. Oh, thank you. So, I would say it's somewhat intentional. I have stuff for beginners because I want to support beginners and beginners learning how to quilt. And there's a lot of beginners searching YouTube and wanting that information, but also I've been quilting for 32 years. So for me to only work on beginner projects all the time, to do beginner stuff on YouTube to help those beginners, would be really boring for me. I mean, it's definitely fun to teach beginners, but I like doing more advanced stuff to stretch my skills and stretch my knowledge as well. And so some of the more advanced stuff is really stuff that I do because I want to do it. So the advanced stuff is like my selfish sewing, and then the beginner stuff is really to help the world of beginners. So yeah, Michelle, there's lots of beginner stuff. Like the block of the month calendar is a great beginner project. My advent calendars are beginner projects. I do a lot of beginner friendly, and even the advanced stuff, I try to break it down into more manageable pieces so that a confident beginner could probably tackle a lot of the advanced stuff. So there we go. All right, friends, I think you have about 1,000 patterns in your binders. That sounds about right. Although you have them in binders, like I think that puts you ahead of the game instead of you've got some kind of organizational system. Go you. Yep, I took home ec. I mean, I was sewing when I was 12, but I took home ec in middle school, and my home ec teacher, her name was Miss Foster, and she was awesome. She kind of let us, she knew that we knew what we were doing, and if we had questions, we would ask, and she let us kind of run amok in the sewing room, so that was fun. All right, it's getting late. My battery's running low. I'm gonna head out, but thanks for hanging out and sewing with me, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have fun sewing. I'm going to be a good YouTuber again and say, make sure that you follow, hit that follow button if you haven't already, or subscribe. It's like a subscribe button. I'm a terrible YouTuber. All right. So yes, hit the follow button, subscribe, and then, I love been enjoying your comments. Make sure that you like the video. And thanks for hanging out. Y'all been really fun. You've really made this hour fly by. It's incredible. All right, friends. Bye.